Well, good evening, everybody. David Jackson coming to you from the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce. A little extended cut tonight. It is the 29th of October. Happy Tuesday evening to you, everybody. Got a couple of updates for you on a few things that just wanted to kind of share in a little bit longer context than the reel that we put out earlier today. First, want to talk about our Hurricane Helene Business Resiliency Disaster Grant Program. I know a number of you applied for that. Nearly 150 applications came in for this grant. We have begun the process of going through those. As a matter of fact, we've been reviewing many of them as we have seen them, and really going through the bulk of those here in the next couple of days. So businesses, if you've submitted a grant, we will be getting in touch with you very soon to let you know kind of where we are with things. We're not going to be able to fund everybody this time. I just want to go ahead and get that out there. We've got roughly about $350,000 to work with the money that we have raised. You may have seen back on Friday, we announced that 250 of that $350,000 came from a very generous gift from the Duke Endowment that has put some significant dollars into this program. So using that as really the big ball of energy for what we're going to be able to do moving forward. We're just simply not cash rich enough at this point in time to satisfy all the needs that are out there. So I want to make sure that you understand kind of how this goes from here. So we'll go through the award process. We've actually awarded a few businesses already that exemplified some incredibly acute needs. And we were able to take care of some of those late last week, early this week. So we've already got about 130,000 of these dollars out the door. And helping small businesses right here in Watauga, Ashe, and Avery County. So we'll be going through, again, the bulk of the funding on the rest of these applications as we continue that review process. Now, of the people that don't get selected this time around, it's not because the need's not there. It's just because the need's too great, right? So we are going to continue fundraising for this grant program as long as we feel the need is there, and we know that the need is there. So as we begin to bring in more of those dollars, and we have seen donations just today toward that cause, once we get to a threshold, we'll open the application process again, and anybody that was not funded this time will not have to go through that application process again. Your application will be there. You don't have to worry about the paperwork. There are a few of you that we may contact just to get some further clarification on information, just to make sure that we've got it right and we understand exactly what you were trying to articulate. But any future applications will be mixed in with those that we will still have, and any future grant awards will go to that pile. So again, we don't want you to think that you've submitted that application and all hope is gone for this particular grant program. It very much is still alive, and we hope with more funding, we'll be able to do some of this and maybe even more quickly than you may think. So again, keep in touch. We've got your contact information, and we'll make sure you get that info. While we're talking about grants here for just a second, there are a couple of things that have come into the area here recently that I want to make sure that you're aware of, especially for those of you that are watching in Avery County. You're very familiar with the Dogwood Charitable Trust, and Dogwood communities often have some great partners that work with them to unlock those dollars that are specifically for those just shy of 20 counties in Western North Carolina, to unlock funding opportunities for a variety of things. And certainly disaster funding is part of what has come into that scope now. So Avery County is the one area in our immediate area here in the high country that qualifies for Dogwood funding. So there is information about a Dogwood disaster relief program that is just really starting to get out. You're going to see the link to that on our business resource page a little bit later on this evening. So check for that. If you're in Avery County or know any businesses there, that is another grant source that you can look at. And there's some pretty significant money behind that. There's also been some movement on the Mountain BizWorks side. Remember, we've told you that Mountain BizWorks and Golden Leaf and the North Carolina Rural Center have been working on a disaster loan program that recently just got $50 million more funding from the North Carolina budget allocation that happened last week for disaster funding. So that loan program exists, but they're also working on a grant program that has a similar monetary value to it of about $50 million. That's the goal. And they want to be able to author loans for businesses, or rather grants for businesses all throughout Western North Carolina. Now, Western North Carolina is a pretty big place, right? And the need is great. So know that those dollars, like the dollars that we've been dealing with, will go quickly. and they're designed to, quite honestly. You want to make sure that you're making gifts that can provide some meaning and some benefit to people. But they are currently, Mountain BizWorks currently fundraising for that grant program, and they will be releasing details about the application process and the criteria a little bit later on here, hopefully by the end of the week, if not soon thereafter. So while we're still waiting on state and federal government interaction in this way, and we know that's not going to come out until after the election, just know that there are agencies and communities all throughout Western North Carolina that are trying to do this very same thing that we're doing here at the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce as well. So if you happen to be a business that is tied to a local community that's got one of these things, I would encourage you to participate. Local dollars stay local. I will say it like that. As we've been going through this process, one of the things that we're really prioritizing is how local dollars can influence local jobs, local business survival, and the ability for those businesses to do business with other businesses too, right? So all communities throughout Western North Carolina going through this process, communities as large as Asheville, regions as large as the whole entire swath of the mountains here through programs like Mountain BizWorks, and then down into smaller regions like what we're trying to do here in the high country. So just know that the dollars that you are donating to those efforts really mean a lot to the businesses that are getting to access that, I'll call it a little bit more strings-free capital right now, while they're waiting for some bigger things to happen. Did get some encouraging news. Can't go into too much of it, but it does sound like I believe Senator Tom Tillis released some information tonight about his plans to bring an SBA funding package to the Senate right after they go back to session. That will be November 12th. In D.C. We know they'll go back a little bit later than that in North Carolina, but Senator Tom Tillis has been working on that. We've been in contact with his office quite a bit here over the last several weeks, and this is one of the things that they want to prioritize, and that is in addition to any other federal aid that may be able to get negotiated through Congress. But one of the Senator Tillis's priorities is to try to get that SBA funding reauthorized. So those of you that have applied for loans have some funding coming soon to that process. You may still be going through the process. Remember, we encouraged you to continue to apply for the SBA disaster loans if that is something that you need to do, and know that as they're working through that process, we have been led to believe that once the legislature's back in session, SBA will be refunded to some degree. And the good news is there's a North Carolina senator that is leading that charge. So thanks to Senator Tillis and his office for kind of taking up that. All right, enough about that part of the money here. Let's talk a little bit about where we go from here as an organization. So many of you have known the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce to be a convener. We have tried to be that way through this. We're going to continue working on this grant program. We're going to continue bringing you some helpful information from some of our local experts, if you will, and we'll really try to drill into that a little bit more this week through things like this, getting Mind Your Business started again, and making sure that you've got access to resource partners. We've also got some great content that we'll be sharing on our business resource page from our friends down at the Asheville Chamber of Commerce, who have had a few speakers come through recently that have got information that it would be really good for all of us to hear. So a lot of sharing of resources back and forth, but I know that it will benefit all of us and really appreciate their help with that. So with all of that said, as we move into November, the Boone Area Chamber is going to start doing some of what we've always done best, and that is convening people. We're excited to have our first business after hours coming up in November. It's the first one since August. Remember, we had Spirit of Boone back at the beginning of September. Remember the years ago that it feels like that was? Weren't able to have our October after hours out at Shipley Farms, but the Beacon is going to be our location for our business after hours in November. Looking forward to seeing many of your faces for the first time there. We're also excited to announce a rescheduled date of our State of Community event. That was supposed to be right around the storm impact time there. We're pleased that Interim Chancellor Heather Norris from Appalachian State University, Dr. Norris, will continue to headline that event. We'll also be hearing from Michael Poe. He is a Division 11 engineer for North Carolina DOT. He's going to be able to kind of tell us about where things stand right now with road reconstruction in this area and what DOT is trying to accomplish before cold weather begins to be working against them a little bit, and how they're going to kind of defend against the upcoming snow and winter weather that we'll see. So some really important information about how our community is functioning, and not only that, but then how this plays into other things that those agencies and campus certainly and DOT were working on long before Helene made her way to our back doorstep. So November 15th is that rescheduled date. The event is live at boonechamber.com. If you'd like to come to it, there are tickets available. We've had some people that are not able to come kind of give their tickets back to us, refunding those, and that certainly makes it available for more of you to come to. So great lunch at the Beacon. That'll be a luncheon event. Come out and hear what the chancellor has to say about where campus is going with their disaster recovery and how that will impact their operation for the rest of the year. As we all know, as campus goes, our community tends to follow in terms of operation, right? You want to know when people are going to be here, when they're going to be transitioning, when campus is going to start back, how those operations are flowing. We'll get some good information there. So mark those dates down on your calendar. And again, understand that we're here to help you with the things that we know about and the things that we learn about on a still daily basis. And we're still very much in that mode right now. We are trying to learn. We're having conversations with folks in and around the region, the state, our federal government partners, to try to make sure that the things that are coming up, and really the things that we can project at the 3-month mark, the 6-month mark, the 9-month mark, we're going to get a handle on, so we can have conversations about those things before they come up. So we can get out of this mode of things surprising us, right? Had a pretty good weekend this past weekend, by and large, in talking to businesses. I know it was anxious. We had some anxious moments, right, in seeing our first big swell of people come back to the community. But thanks to the work of North Carolina DOT, thanks to the work of our partners in the town and the county, and certainly on campus, and all of the businesses that opened their doors once again to these folks that were able to come in and love on our community like they were. Things went pretty well, right? Wasn't perfect. We've got a lot to continue to go back and debrief on and digest. I would expect a little tick up again this weekend. Another home football game. App State takes on Old Dominion at 2:30 at the Rock on Saturday. The Parkway, again, open with a 20-mile stretch from Blowing Rock up to Beacon Heights. That was pretty well traveled, hearing that directly from some of you that were on the Parkway this weekend. But the weather looks like it's going to be good for getting out and getting around. And we know that this is a bridge weekend in some regards to what we know will soon be a transition to choosing cut traffic. And hopefully with colder weather, ski traffic coming in behind that. So it's important for us to have these weekends, take a step back, reevaluate, and then move forward. And understand this too. Businesses have said it was better, right? We'll take better at this point. But the amount of cash flow that was had in this town this weekend, while helpful, is not going to make up for the 3 weekends of loss that we experienced. And one kind of thing I want to put in there for context for you, just to understand a little bit. When you look at the calendar this year, with the way that things fell, with a September home football game, family weekend right there at the end of the month that unfortunately ended up getting canceled. That's usually kind of a tweener time for us, right? Late September, it's not quite leaf season, but it's also after kids go back to school. So that can be kind of a shoulder period. That would have been a pretty nice infusion, right? And then you see 3 consecutive weeks of no football that would have played really well with festival season, Oktoberfest up at Sugar and Woolly Worm and Valley Country Fair and all the fun things that we know that sometimes can get impacted by high traffic events. We're going to have their own times to shine. Then you get 2 football weekends on the backside of that with a little bit of leaf traffic mixed in, followed then by like a few days before choosing cut and the winter. And you can see how there is a very easy line to draw from late September all the way to the end of the year, right? That didn't happen. And it's going to be hard to take some of those days and make them up. When you look at those Friday, Saturday, Sunday periods and those October weekends that I was talking about, those are like top 10 performing days for many of our businesses around here. And they lost them all. So while we're getting there, we've got a long way to go toward the economic recovery, and that's people's jobs. That's our businesses being able to stay open. That is our economy continuing to function. That is why it is still so important for us to advocate for help from our government partners. Just because the registers were ringing on Saturday does not mean that we are void of assistance or can be void of assistance from state and federal partners. They know that. They're hearing that not only from us, but from communities all up and down the spine of the mountains here in Western North Carolina. So I'll ask you to be patient, but I'll also ask you to remain aware of kind of where we are, where we're going, and where we hope we can get things insulated to the point where we know we become a little bit more weather dependent in the winter months for some of those businesses that failed the opportunity to make full hibernating money. They're going to have to perform a little bit more than they normally do, or they're going to be faced with some difficult realities. So try to get these grant programs out there, let you know about other grant programs that are going on, and keep talking to our local government and state and federal government officials about what else can be done to help our business community here and help keep people employed. Want to tease one final thing before we let you go. We got a Workforce Wednesday coming up. Lots of new jobs on that list this time around. There have been some people that have been displaced from jobs. Check out that list. It'll be on boonechamber.com tomorrow. You'll see some social media teasing of that as well. Check out that resource. If you're looking for work, if you're working in a temporary job right now that's been brought about by disaster recovery, and you know that that's getting ready to end, this is a great source for you. So check out Workforce Wednesday, and you'll see some of the fresh jobs that are available in the community. All right, that's it for tonight. I said short. That's short for me, I guess. Hey, just know that we're working for you, and hope that you have a restful evening, a solid week, and we look forward to seeing you again and talking to you very, very soon. Good night, everybody.